All right, third video. So, so I recently took a trip to Asia, and on that trip, I had 8 flights. 2 of them were on the same day, but the others were all on different days. And not only that, um, I got on probably 40 to 50 train rides. Most of them were pleasant, but about 10 of them were completely packed, and just you actually didn't need to hold on because you were just basically being buttressed by people on all sides. So even if the train was came to a sudden halt, it was impossible to fall over. And then I had to take some Grab taxi rides that were about an hour long through traffic, and most of these flights were the cheapest flights I could find for that day, for that route. So they were packed, and some had screaming babies, some had, I don't know, this might sound terrible, but there's a lot of body odor smell, and half of them were not very pleasant flights. One of them was during my regular bedtime, and the guy behind me was very tall, and he seemed like a nice guy, but every time he moved, he would knee my chair, and and I didn't want to impinge upon his freedom. I could have said something, but I didn't want to. I wanted him to have a nice flight, so I just kept quiet. And so every time I'd start to fall asleep, I would get bumped and I would get woken up. And so after the second or third time, I just thought the conditions here aren't conducive towards sleep. So I'll just stay up for the next 4 to 5 hours. Even though I prefer to sleep at this time, I'll just stay up. And I just made a decision to stay up. And I wasn't upset. I was at peace because I saw what, for me, I read the conditions and I came to a conclusion that seemed good to me. And I just made a decision to stay up. So I watched a movie, listened to music, and just spent time thinking about things. And I was very tired later, and my recovery time was probably slowed down because I didn't sleep, but it's not a big deal. But anyway, the point is, I did a lot of things that I think if I had a choice, if I was a multimillionaire, I wouldn't have put myself through. But the fact of the matter is, like even with the guy kicking me from the back, he's kneeing my chair, and I want to sleep. So I have an agenda. My agenda is I want to sleep, but the conditions around me are such that sleep. Also, I have a hard time sleeping on planes. I'm a light sleeper, and so just a little disturbance that might not disturb most people kept me from sleeping, right? So the conditions aren't supporting my agenda or my wish to sleep. So it's not a pleasant experience for Yuichi, for me, Yuichi at that moment. But it's a wonderful experience for Yuichi in that moment in terms of practicing letting go. Yeah. Because what I found in that moment was all I had to do was let go of my agenda to fall asleep, to have peace. I didn't get sleep, but I had peace. Peace is just another word for freedom. Yeah. The Ajahn Chah's quote, if you can let go, blank, you'll have blank freedom. So I let go of my agenda, my wish to sleep, and I had peace. And so to me, as far as I'm concerned, that's always the goal of someone who's interested in a spiritual path, is peace or freedom. Maybe some people disagree, but for me, that's what I would say, is peace or freedom is the goal. It's not sleep. It's not getting full. Yeah. It's not getting my wishes. Yeah. It's not having a plane where everything smells like flowers. It's not having a plane where everyone's well-mannered and quiet and there are no children. Yeah. So I had an agenda like, why do these people bring these screaming children on the plane where they're screaming for like 20, 30 minutes straight? And that's my agenda. But I let it go. I just put some earplugs in, which mutes the sound a little bit. And then I just sort of dropped the thought that why should these people behave differently? Yeah. And so I have peace. So putting myself into situations that I don't like forces me to practice letting go of my agenda. It forces me to continually let go of my agenda, which then increases my ability to let go. And so then when I'm caught in a job or a relationship or something localized where I might have a tendency to grasp onto because those muscles or the capacity to let go has been developed elsewhere. It's very easy to just let it go. It's not pushing it away. It's not getting rid of it. It's just I can let it go. And where does that come from? From the practice of letting go. I think a lot. I would attribute my own personal whatever level of capacity. I'm not saying I can let go perfectly, but let's say I give it a 7 out of 10. If my capacity to let go is at a 7, I would attribute most of it to my meditation practice, which is mostly about letting go. But I attribute it also in my daily life to all the difficult circumstances that I undergo, which force me to let go of my own agenda, of my own wishes and desires in that moment, and surrender to things as they are. So that's why I was telling this person that I might start driving Lyft or Uber because I actually dislike driving. Yeah, and I dislike driving because I have a lot of judgment about the behavior of other people on the road. And so I thought this would be really good training for me. Continued training and letting go, right? I'm not at the level where I want to take a job cleaning toilets for a living. I think that's a much more advanced practitioner than me. Yeah. But being a Lyft driver seems sufficiently painful and unpleasant to me. And I find myself with a willingness, at least right now, to possibly do that. My goal is to wait till 2024 to get an electric vehicle. So at least it's more profitable. But that's a different story altogether. So let's see. Oh, that's at 7 minutes. So that's why my version of follow your bliss would be follow your displeasure, or go pursue the things that you're willing to pursue that create unpleasant circumstances for yourself, because that will be the best training ground to let go, to constantly let go of one's agenda that things should be different than they are. And thereby one increases one's capacity to let go, which leads to greater inner freedom. Yeah. So following your bliss for me would lead to like eating a lot of sweets, or moving to Japan and gorging on all their food, and especially pastries, and having a lot of sex maybe with different people. I don't know if I should say that in a video like this, but anyway, I think that's my version of, maybe I misunderstand bliss, but that's what those words would evoke in me. And then I would just become more self-indulgent, and I would actually suffer from less and less freedom. But again, I believe that was a message shaped by the fact that he taught at a women's college. Maybe it's not a women's college. Sarah Lawrence, maybe it's a coed. I might be making things up. But to me, it's always struck me as a very feminine message. I'm not saying he's feminine, but his audience may have been more female. Generally, my attitude is most men that I know become worse men through comfort, and we become better through discipline, especially self-discipline. And most women that I know are almost the opposite. Yeah, self-discipline I don't think is the path for most of the women that I've met. It's more following what brings them joy, just like Joseph Campbell said. So the ultimate goal is freedom and it's peace. And the greater my capacity, the greater one's capacity to let go of of self, of what I'm referring to as one's agenda, one's wishes in that moment, and surrender to things as they are, the greater one's freedom, inner freedom is. There's going to be one more video.